Welcome to Gemcast Live. Today we have a special treat, not one but two readers. John Resnick writing, who has read several chapters for Gemcast Live, returns to read with R.L. Butler Opal Rose, who is now just, let me make sure, she's now just Butler Goose Opal Rose. Without further ado, here are our readers who will be reading a story from R.L. Butler's Book One.
Hello, hello. All right, let me just pull this up. I have a little recap just so that people aren't confused as we go into the chapter. So we'll be starting with that. Drew resents training her relentlessly cheerful coworker, Michael, whose promotion upends her carefully ordered life. Her world changes overnight when she discovers he is a vampire. Although Michael knows little about how he was transformed, Drew reluctantly agrees to help him uncover the truth. Their search leads them to the ancient vampire Anton, who explains how vampires survive and shares the tragedy of his own past. As Michael develops frightening new abilities, Drew becomes his closest source of support. Working side by side, their uneasy partnership slowly blossoms into friendship and then something deeper. The discovery of an encoded journal left by Anton's former mentor, Davor, reveals a terrifying plan to create a vampire god. As they unravel the journal's secrets, they realize Michael was deliberately chosen to become a vampire. Before they can learn more, Drew is kidnapped by the vampire Nicola and imprisoned as part of his own dark experiments. While Drew quietly plots her escape, Michael and Anton race to find her, guided by Michael's growing psychic connection. They rescue Drew before Nicola can complete his plans, but the ordeal leaves lasting emotional scars. As Drew struggles to recover, the group uncovers Nicola's connection to Davor's research and realizes the threat is far from over. Stronger than ever, Drew and Michael face the future together, united by trust, love, and the dangers still to come. And now we'll begin the chapter. We continued on in a similar fashion for more than a week. One morning, we got a call from Anton. I put it on speaker.
Good morning, my lovely friends.
His voice rang out with gusto. Way too much for this time of day. Morning, I drawled, still groggy. We'll see if it's a good one or not.
Ignore her, Anton. She's just grumpy. Just a grumpy butt in the morning. What's up?
Michael was more a morning person than I am, even though it was the low bar that I had set already.
How is life as roomies?
Anton inquired brightly. It's fine, but Anton, when do you think it'll be safe to assume that I'm no longer a target for Nicola? I'm really tired of looking over my shoulder all the time. I leaned against the kitchen counter. I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the microwave door. I had a fairly bad case of bedhead. I tried to comb my fingers through my hair, snagging it in places.
I'm hoping soon. My sources at the police station and ranger stations are keeping an eye out for suspicious activity. Once he starts hunting, there should be a trail. The question right now is, what's his diet? Is he picky with his blood or not?
Anson added, making it extra gross. I shuddered. Part of me really doesn't want to know, but I know my safety depends on knowing. Still, bleh. I made a gagging sound. I poured my coffee, getting out the creamer and making it just right. I sipped from the side of the mug, smelling the aroma and letting it wake up my face.
Anton, I'm pretty sure you wouldn't call first thing in the morning just to ask how things are over here. What's this call really about?
Michael furrowed his brows in concern as he waited for a response. It was quiet on the other end for a moment. In a strained voice, Anton started.
I think I may have pinpointed Davor's motivation to become a god. If Nicola is anything like Davor, it might be the same for him. I don't know how I didn't connect the dots before, but he talks about it over and over in the journal.
What? I asked, feeling impatient. Anton must have picked up a paper from the rustle we heard on his end.
At one point, Davor wrote me it most succinctly. What good is living forever if I have to hide? Davor was sick of living in the shadows. He wanted the respect and fear that is given to a god to be his own, and there is certainly no way to do that if no one knows you exist. However, Davor went on, for now I must hide in order to save myself. I am not powerful enough to take on an entire village, let alone a city or more. He goes on to complain about not wanting to hide and not wanting to wait, but feeling compelled to for survival.
There was a pause while he let the awful idea settle.
Anyway, the point is, Drew, he wanted everything that comes with being a god, but didn't have the power to make it happen. Guys, what if Nicola is similar to Davor in that way? Drew, from what you remember, did he seem like the kind of guy who would want to be a god?
I didn't want to think back on how it was around him, how frightened and small and weak I felt. But I did remember one thing. He acted in control the whole time until I fought back. Then he was angry. He didn't calm down until he was done. I swallowed back the bile that threatened to rise. I looked at Michael, letting him know that I needed to be done with this conversation. I needed to leave, now. I couldn't handle any more Nicola talk. I took my mug with me to my room to get ready for work. Michael finished the call with Anton by himself. I took deep breaths, counting to 10 in my head, holding the breath, and counting back down, trying to focus on the numbers and not the memories. 30 minutes later, Michael knocked on the frame of the bathroom door, getting my attention while I was putting my hair up.
How are you doing? Wanted to give you some space so you could focus on your breathing.
He leaned his back against the frame.
My therapist called them mindfulness exercises, the breathing. Are you counting in your head while you do it?
I nodded. So did he.
I do too.
Do you still go to therapy? I asked. Michael chuckled.
I didn't want to scar them. I mean, a sudden craving for human blood doesn't really sound normal, does it?
I laughed. No, I suppose not. I looked at myself in the mirror, thinking to myself, well, I guess this is just going to have to be good enough. I looked tired, but not dead tired, the concealer doing a decent job of hiding the circles under my eyes. I had to wear mascara to look like I had lashes at all, so that particular item was a daily staple. Autumn was well and truly here, a bleak season in comparison to our one nice season of summer just before it. It wasn't raining, but the clouds threatened to, dark and heavy. I had begun to layer my clothing again, needing the extra warmth while I walked. Michael followed behind me by about a block, far enough away so that we weren't seen walking into work together, but close enough if something were to happen. I stalked through the doors of the building, trying not to shiver at the temperature difference. I rode the elevator to our floor. It was the only time where I was out of reach if something were to happen. Breathe. I need to breathe. I didn't want to call attention to myself the second I got to our floor. I heard a ding and the doors opened. I stepped out, walking toward my desk. The neighboring elevator arrived shortly after with Michael. He went straight to the break room to get our coffees ready. I didn't like drinking so much coffee, but sometimes that kick of caffeine was enough to make life not seem so awful. Coming back out, he didn't see Sarah coming from the side. She bumped into him, making one of the mugs fall out of his hands. Swifter than I can see, he had bent down and caught it, some coffee sloshing over the side. "Oh my goodness, I didn't see you there! Michael, are you all right?" Sarah had grabbed a napkin from somewhere and was trying to wipe at Michael's shirt in an attempt to wipe at the spilled coffee. There was just one problem with that. He hadn't spilled any coffee on his shirt.
Sarah, I'm fine, really. This door ought to come with a warning sign.
He continued to our desk, leaving her behind. "That was quite a catch, the mug." Michael looked over his shoulder at her comment. I don't know of anyone who could have caught that. It was pretty amazing. Sarah smiled at him prettily.
Thanks. I've got pretty good reflexes.
I rolled my eyes from where I sat at the desk. Michael continued walking toward the desk. Sarah watched after him, her look a mix of frustration and adoration. Did she have a legit crush on Michael? For whatever reason, the thought made my stomach knot up. There's no reason to feel anything right now. Quit it, body. It's not like I just... Oh, stupid body. Michael set down my mug and went to his side of the desk, powering up his computer and setting himself up for the day. I looked at the open DM on the screen, someone wanting a second look at a procedural report for a different floor of the building. Okay, time to focus. Before long, it was approaching time for lunch. I had packed lunches for once, one for me and one for Michael. Michael pulled his lunch out, apparently planning to work and eat at the same time. I understood. Sometimes you get into a good rhythm and don't want to stop. Sarah walked by our desk on her way to the elevators. Hey, Michael, you want to come join us for lunch? As if I was an afterthought, she looked at me. You too, Drew. Want to come? I felt so wanted. Even so, my guts twisted. Michael slowly turned his head, his eyes still on the screen. He finally turned too far to see his screen, his eyes snapping to her.
I'm sorry, what was that, Sarah?
She looked a little perturbed. I was asking if you wanted to come down to the cafeteria with the rest of us for lunch. A look of comprehension flitted across Michael's face.
Ah, that's what you said. Thanks for the invitation, but I'm really on a roll with this contract. Maybe next time.
Sarah gave a small smile and nodded. She didn't wait for a response from me before walking to the elevators, others waiting for her there. She looked back at the desk and caught my eye. What was that look she was giving me? Was that jealousy? No, it read darker than that. Like it was my fault that Michael had decided to stay in for lunch. Granted, it partly was, but she didn't know that I had made his lunch along with my own. I decided to ignore Sarah. I went ahead and got my lunch out too, setting it on the desk. I unwrapped my sandwich, taking a bite before setting it down to chew. I looked over at Michael's side. He was still focused on work, but he was simultaneously eating, reading, and with one hand, typing. Hey, Michael? I waited until I had his attention.
Yeah, Drew?
I lifted my brows suggestively, looked at the elevators, and said, I think you might have an admirer in the office.
Really? Who?
He couldn't possibly be that blind, could he? I looked at him a moment longer before shaking my head. No. Michael looked utterly confused, then a tad angered.
What do you mean, no?
I put my elbows up on the desk, twining my fingers together in front of my face. I mean, if you are that oblivious to the women around you, I'm surprised that you ever go on dates. He drew himself up.
Hey, I'm not oblivious. I bet I could guess it. Is it Sarah?
You just picked the last woman besides me that you've spoken to. I wasn't about to admit that he got it right on the first try. Yeah, right. Michael shifted in his seat.
Well, I know of somebody in the office that might have a crush on you.
That hit me out of nowhere. What are you talking about?
You've got an admirer of your own, and you have no idea who it is.
Well, who says I want an admirer, I asked him. He didn't respond for a moment, looking thoughtfully down at his lunch.
Fair point, but sometimes feelings catch a person off guard. Like with my parents. They didn't meet until they both had stopped looking for love. Then it landed in their lap.
Who says I'm looking for love?
Isn't everyone? in some way?
I thought about it. There was more than just romantic love. I knew that. I mean, I loved my parents as my family, and that's totally different. But was I really actually looking for love? I had to admit, being alone did sometimes get a little, well, lonely, even if it's how I prefer to spend my time usually. Love?
Did I trip you up?
Oh, that's how it was going to be. No, but we can agree to disagree. I took another bite of my sandwich. I am completely fine without love. I spoke around my food, not caring that it was rude. Am I? I've gone so long without it, but with it? The look on Michael's face held pain.
No one is completely fine without love. Maybe mostly for some, but never completely.
He grabbed the apple from his lunch and bit into it, crunching and snapping, and his teeth tore a piece away. His brows remained furrowed as he looked back at his computer, clicking on something and making a note. I took that as my cue to let Michael get back to his work. No. I was back in the white room. How did I get back here? I have to get out! The room was tilting as I ran to the door, pounding with my fists until I heard a click. The room snapped straight again. The click sent me scrambling back, trying to hide behind my kitchen chair in the center of the room. Why would one of my chairs be here? Nicola stood there, his plain face a mask of calm, his smile slight. There was no life in his dark eyes.
Miss Nelson, you really shouldn't have done that. You made me do such awful things to bring you home.
He tossed something towards me, like a bowling ball. No, not a ball. A head. Michael's head. His face stared at me from the side, his eyes dead and unseeing, his face forever twisted in agony. I heard screaming. All I could hear was the screaming. I tried to crawl away from Michael's head to get as far away from all of this as possible. I clawed at the back wall, willing another entrance to appear, to get me out of this hell. Nicola walked slowly in my direction. He passed Michael's head, then the chair, prowling ever closer. I recognized the scream. That was my voice. My nails shredded at the foam and tore at the back wall, my fingers bleeding from the effort. I spun around. Nicola was right in front of me. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't move. Even my screaming had stopped. He grabbed me by the neck, his thumb stroking my jawline to soften the blow.
You, really, should have just stayed put.
Then he was on me again, biting and sucking. I thrashed, useless. He continued to drink my blood, the pricking of his teeth a terrible burn. I screamed.
Drew? Michael rubbed at his eyes with his finger. What had that sound been? There it was again. A moan. Drew? He stood up from his mattress, padding slowly towards Drew's room.
No.
She must have been sleep-talking. He turned around to go back.
No.
She said louder, making him turn around.
No. Please, no.
She squirmed in her bed.
No, stop. No.
She began to thrash, her covers thrown off by the sudden movement.
No.
Her voice was getting louder. Michael ran over to the bed, grabbing one of Drew's shoulders. She didn't wake up. She just kept thrashing. He had to put his hand on her other shoulder, try and keep her still. Drew, wake up. It's just a nightmare. You're dreaming. Wake up. Drew! Drew! He was shaking her shoulders. Her eyes burst open, her pupils little more than dots. She screamed again, right in his face, not fully awake. Drew! Drew, wake up. You're okay. You're okay. Wake up. She was taking in big lungfuls of air, as if she'd been sprinting for miles. Then she started sobbing. She sprang from the bed, hugging Michael around the neck as she continued to cry. Michael hugged her back, one arm holding her close, and the other hand rubbing circles on her back. It's okay, Drew. You're safe. She continued to cry, her tears and snot leaving wet streaks on Michael's shirt. Her hands fisted in his shirt as she went on. They stayed that way, sitting together for a while. You had a nightmare. It was more statement than question. Drew nodded. Nicola? Her shiver was answer enough. He held her closer. Hey, you're safe now. You're home. You're home. He didn't need to know the details. Knowing that she was dreaming about Nicola, it was plain to see that it would take a much longer time for her to feel safe again. Michael continued to hold Drew, rubbing soothing circles on her back as she tried to steady her breathing.
I don't want to talk about it.
Her voice shook, but her words were firm. You don't have to. I'm right here. You're safe. But he could tell from the look in her eyes that she didn't fully believe him. He pulled her back to hold her face. He looked into her eyes and he said, As long as I'm here, no one is going to hurt you. Okay? Her eyes pleaded for it to be true. I promise. I'm not going anywhere. Drew's eyes were wide and glittered as another tear rolled down her face. Do you want me to stay here? She nodded so hard he thought her head would come off. He picked her up, adjusting to sit more centrally on the bed. He tried to set her down, but she refused to let go. He said nothing and just held her, understanding that sometimes you just need to be held.
End of chapter.
Oh, that was amazing. Like, growing up as a kid, I remember being in class and like the teacher talking about like encouraging us to read with expression, like you guys read with expression. And like that last part was amazing. Like that was just so good. Wow.
Yeah, sorry, my voice was starting to go out about halfway through because I was doing a bunch of vocal work earlier. So I apologize about that.
No, you guys were amazing. Like,
You did
like
great.
especially that climax scene, like, and the timing was outstanding. Like, but when, she would like react emotionally and you would like, you carried on the reading, like, it was like, I was sitting here, it was like an audiobook, really. Like, it was outstanding. Wow.
Thank you. And since this is Butler Goose Opal Rose the Third.com's show, I'm going to go ahead and pause my mic.
I guess we'll go to the question, Caballo. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right. The only question, like it says, I'd have is how to hire them and where can I get the money? Yeah, you guys really. You know what caught me though about the story though? Honestly, like it sounds like so developed compared to where we begin because we were here for chapter one of this story, and I was a little surprised that at chapter 24 they're not a couple yet. Can you touch a little bit on what happens in between like, remember how you read that? I think it was chapter one.
I think
And
Michael's ready to touch on that subject.
yeah, I know, right? Like, can you kind of touch on for the people that are here who've had the benefit to maybe listen to chapter one and listen to this chapter, but haven't, yet read in between? Like, what can you say about that topic?
So leading up to this point, Drew and Michael's relationship was slowly starting to develop into something a little bit more than friendship. But before it could get too much farther than that, Drew ends up getting kidnapped by this guy named Nicola. She does end up getting away from him, and this chapter is after she has escaped. And So that dream sequence is basically her going back to when she was kidnapped and reliving that.
Yeah,
And so
that was the part that I
the
thought really stood out.
the
Uh,
relationship between her and Michael really starts to build after this.
okay, yeah, because that's what stood out for me. I just assumed that they were already a couple, and I'm like, oh no, we're not here yet. So, but the really well written, it definitely comes off as just like basically like a vampire romance novel. I think I really wish that you can get more exposure for this story.
Well,
Goose
thank
said she
you.
was assumed that they were together as well. John, can you talk a little about some of the stuff that you have going on, some of your projects? I know that, like in the past, we were fortunate to have you reading more often, but you've been quite busy. What do you have going on in your world right now?
Uh, Too fucking much. Let's see. So working full time is nurse in the operating room, auditioning for voiceover gigs for commercials, and now nonfiction audiobooks. Fiction, it takes a lot more time because you got a lot of time to read the whole book first, and then that way you're making sure you're not getting any accents wrong, and then having to go back and re-record everything at the end. Um, Other than that, just writing my own novels, dealing with the piracy thing recently. Luckily, like Butler, I had a full registered copyright, so it helped me get that shit off of Google Books. And my novel one with my series is with the copy editor right now. Book two is done. I'm just doing more touch ups, and I've already started book three as well. And I'll be recording the audiobook for that this fall. I'll be hiring a female narrator to do half the chapters with me. Anything from a female character's point of view, I'm going to have her do it. And be publishing ebook, print, and audiobook for book one beginning next year, and then hopefully book two end of next year. Um, and as of like 2 days ago, I think, just off all the reviews and ratings, I think my first book that's still on, Royal Road, the one that's gonna be published next year, is now in the top 2.5% on the rankings, so that's nice. I mean, it's not
Woot woot.
rising stars, but it's still moving.
No, I think with as I'm sure like with certain platforms, it's limited exposure based on what it is their primary product is. But yeah, top 2% rating wise lets you know that those that encounter it, that appreciate it, are they're particularly appreciating it. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's all 5 stars except for, like, 1 or 2 that are 4.5, so it's like a 4.96, out of 5 for the overall rating on it. So, anybody who reads it seems
Nice.
to like it.
That sounds great. Like, how about you, Butler? How are you doing with your projects at the moment? Like, what can we be looking forward to next?
I am currently working on book 3. I am slowly releasing the book 2 chapters on Substack now. I wasn't sure if I was gonna be doing that or not, but after this whole Royal Road mess with Google Books and everything, I decided that my readers who were on Substack deserve to be able to get the second book still. And so I'm doing that. Um, and yeah, just working on book 3 and slowly getting through the story.
All right. Well, thank you for writing it, and thank you for coming together with John. Like, this was one of a kind. I hope that in the future we could maybe have this manifest again or something like this. It was such. I got such a kick out of it. I thought that I don't know if you guys rehearsed beforehand, like probably not, but like it sure
No.
sounded like you guys did. Like, yeah, the timing was just so outstanding, and it was such an enjoyable experience that I hope this is something that we could do, like once in a blue at least.
Right, it
Yeah,
was
we probably work something
fun.
out. I
All right,
enjoyed it.
with that, that concludes today's Gemcast.